I am so excited about my new radio show, Tales and Tips, on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Voice of Stockton, and KXVS Radio. I will discuss relevant issues affecting animals and pet owners today, how to avoid common problems, and how to extend the quality of life for your cherished companions. As a community advocate, I will also discuss important social issues that affect our city. I plan to showcase organizations and heroes who are doing amazing things to help others. Remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 10, starting soon.
Do you want to relive the golden days of Stockton? Join Nate Knott on Stockton Alive every first and third Monday at 6 p.m. Tune into thevoiceofstockton.org.
My name is Miriam, and I am the voice of Stockton.
Welcome to the Tom Patti reality show right here on KXVS, the voice of Stockton. Soon to be on 92.1 FM, broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. Here's Tom Patti.
Thank you, Governor Don. And welcome back, everybody, to the Tom Patti reality show, where we like to talk about local issues, sports, politics, and all things that are relevant in our ever-changing and challenging communities. I'm honored, truly honored, and so happy to have my friend and one of Stockton's just true great champions, Roy Morales, as our in-studio guest. So thanks, Roy, for being here, and also, as usual, my trusty sidekick, Ted. So welcome, everybody. Glad you're all here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Ted?
Thank you, Tom. It's a joy to be here with you, and more of a joy to be here with Roy Morales.
And it's a joy to be here all together.
It most certainly is.
Well done.
And we got the governor. So that's
the good governor.
Even better. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So let's start off. First off, as we were chatting earlier, let's give a recognition to our local firefighters that not only serve our community, but here they are springing into action. They took off to Houston to help with the massive cleanup and effects after the Hurricane Harvey came through, and now here we are on the doorsteps, of course, of another incredible monster storm, Irma, making its way through the Caribbean, causing devastation already on the Caribbean islands. So I'd just like to mention, before you guys chime in, how our thoughts and prayers, of course, are for the people that have already incurred the damages. And, of course, let's pray and hope for the least amount of risk and damage to those that are in the path of this superstorm as it goes through. And that's a big, devastating issue coming up.
Yes, it is. And, our city is a proud city. We've been through our disasters, and it's so cool to have our community respond, to send firefighters over there to assist. And I know that there are a lot of other people that have family there that have gone back to Texas, to help with their families and do whatever they can, because it's just so devastating. I mean, we can all imagine that happening to us and what kind of situation we would be in, But Tom, what I'm hoping is that, we're hoping for not a lot of loss of life, but what we're hoping for is a community to come together, a nation to come together to support one another. And so I really appreciate the firefighters and all the people, and many churches have probably gone as well. So we have a community of people that are going to assist as well in this disaster. Yeah. And I pray for those individuals that have been affected.
Well, and you think about the devastation, the challenge. It's the headlines are as the storm's coming through, and everybody's paying attention to what's happening live, because these are live broadcasts, and you're looking at this horrific challenge and devastation. But then it's the cleanup, it's the repercussions, it's the basic services. I mean, in Puerto Rico, they're talking about they're not going to have electricity for 4 to 6 months. Wow. And you just imagine how your lives are disrupted, and where are you getting your fresh water? Where are you getting food from on a daily basis? The things we take for granted, and it's those are the challenges and the hardships that you really pray for. And I mean, gosh, you saw back in Katrina when that hurricane went through, there were women and families that lost children because of that, the starvation, lack of supplies, medical, food, water. I mean, just really horrific experiences, obviously. So our hearts go out to them, and they are definitely in many thoughts and prayers throughout all of America, because that kind of devastation can happen, whether it be in an earthquake, it can happen in floods, tornadoes. I mean, this happens on a regular basis throughout the world. So we really have to, give our support, as you mentioned, and come together as a nation and help out in every possible way with resources and helping in all capacities.
Yes, absolutely. I think our hearts are with the people of Florida, and certainly with the people of the Caribbean, as Tom was just saying. I saw the Prime Minister of a Caribbean nation called Antigua and Barbuda, the island of Barbuda. 90% of the buildings on that island are gone, destroyed, just completely obliterated by this dreadful hurricane. So,
the one thing that does excite me is that we have organizations in place that are prepared to handle as much as they possibly can.
True.
And it really gives us an opportunity, because we have an opportunity to give to those organizations, that are there. The Red Cross, there's several organizations that are they're involved, and now the reality. This is a reality show. The reality sinks in, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens if I was in that situation?
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes so real.
Yep.
And so, it gives us a wake-up call that any community could be devastated by something like this or something else, and being ready, being prepared as best as we possibly can to make it a little bit easier for us to weather the storm. And I think this is a wake-up call. I have a daughter in Tampa right now, Florida.
Yeah.
And she's going to be affected. I don't know how much affected, where they're at, but I'm concerned about her. My wife's concerned about her. We're concerned about our families that are down in Texas and in Florida. But I really feel good about the preparedness that we've had, because we've been able to prepare a long way of some natural disasters, and I think that we're better prepared to deal with this, but we have a long ways to go.
Yeah, and very true. And there is so much that's unexpected. I was down in the Florida Keys a few years back, many years ago now, so when Katrina came through. And these storms have their own life. You don't even know where it's going to go. Right. So, like, for instance, your daughter's on the west coast of Florida, and so it seems to be out of the path. Right. But that's not true, because Katrina was going to go up the east coast of Florida. In the middle of the night, she turned and she went west across the Florida Keys as probably a Category 3 storm, and I was there for it, and we lost electricity and things were damaged, but it wasn't as devastating, of course, as it then went into the Gulf and gained more strength and hit into New Orleans.
Right.
So and that whole Gulf Coast. So we are sitting on the edge of our seats and praying that there's safety, there's support, and I've got two cousins of mine that live directly in Florida. One in the Keys. They're not evacuating. They are in shelters. In fact, they build their stations where the fire vehicles and rescue vehicles are elevated off of the ground level, so that they're ready for emergency call once the storm passes. So they are there. They're hunkered down.
Right.
They are the first responders, and we thank God. And I always say, that first responder word is to me it's appropriate, but it also really underscores what they do. I mean, they are there they are lifesavers. They are there to pick up the pieces and help in the devastation, and in the greatest call of need, they rush into danger as needed, when needed, and sacrifice their own possible well-being, and they put their own families aside. I mean, these firefighters have families, they have kids, but no, they're on call right now. They're going to sacrifice and make that commitment. So we really do appreciate all that they do, and thank God for them. So,
and it's not just in natural disasters and calamities that we're seeing now in, first in Texas a couple weeks ago, and then now in the Caribbean and Florida. Here in San Joaquin County on a daily basis, Tom and I have seen demonstrations from our local firefighters on what they do on a daily basis when there's not an emergency, such as whenever there's an open house at one of a fire station here in Stockton, the Firefighters Association, they show the public what it is they do. And Supervisor, would you be interested?
Oh, yeah. Well, Mario Gardea and all of the firefighters, of course, they put together demonstrations how the jaws of life. They'll get a salvaged car that's all wrecked and smashed, and they'll show how they dismantle it and what they do with the hydraulics to pry open jaws of life and scissors that will cut open and remove the roof to get people and extract them and pull them out to save their lives. So you really do appreciate all that they do and how they are on the ready to save lives and just it's on a daily basis. So we really thank them, and of course our police and sheriffs and all the people that are there to step up and help as needed when needed.
Yeah, except the last time they did a demonstration, that wasn't a salvage car. That was actually a used car that I had just purchased that they had assumed was the salvage car that was going to be used in the demonstration.
They did you a favor. And you always said you wanted a convertible.
There you go.
So, Roy, tonight, tell us a little bit about my alumni high school was the AA Stagg, and last year I first became aware of it. But there's a Stagg alumni game, and sure enough, when I show up, and the reason why, and by the way, we talked about you last week in the inaugural opening show, how you're just one of these super volunteers in town that springs into action. You just turn around and every event, every nonprofit, there's Roy Morales donating his time, volunteering, and of course you have your own family, you have your own demands, and you've got your own business. You work at Chase Chevrolet for many years, and but you find all this time to volunteer. What's that driving force?
What's that driving force? Well, you know what? I've been very fortunate. What I saw when I went out in the community at first, and it's really I've been working on it probably about 7 years. But what I saw a need. I saw an opportunity. Because I work for Chase Chevrolet, and we've been in business since 1944. We sell a lot of cars. We service cars. But in my position in getting out into the community, things really an opportunity came when it was down times. We're talking about the hurricane.
Right.
Well, we go through hurricanes all the time with the economy.
Recessions,
especially the local economy.
Yeah.
And so I just really felt that we needed to be all in on community as far as the business, and me personally. And so that's really where it all kind of came from. So I couldn't have done this, honest to God. I could not have ever done this if I didn't have the support of my employer. There's no doubt about that.
Sure.
So they supported me in this, and they said, okay, go on out there and do what you can do, And then what happened is I became passionate about it. I mean, totally passionate about it. Because what I began to see and meet were these fantastic people, just fantastic servants in the community. The people, the heroes that are out there that you never hear of, the ones coaching the ball teams, the ones teaching your kids, all these people out there making an impact on our community. And so once I began to feel this synergy, it drove me, you guys, being involved with the community and doing the things that you guys do. That's what drives me, and I think that that's what drives our community. And that's why I think a platform is important. So, the passion is real. It's a reality show.
Yep.
This is all about this. The first thing that comes to mind is what kind of a difference can I make in the community?
Yeah.
I sell cars at Chase Chevrolet, but my most important job is to make a difference in the community. So that it kind of go hands in hand. So I've been very fortunate because I've been able to be at the events, and be supported by my employer, but to be out in the community, and then from there on, it's really from me, and just doing what's right.
Yeah, I don't think there's a moment that Chase ever says no to getting behind and backing the nonprofits that happen in town. And I would be willing to bet they probably somewhere in the hundreds of thousands, probably even maybe up to $1 million a year, that they can constantly contribute and reinvest in the community, nonprofits, and I mean, anybody knocks on their door, they're going to, they'll stand up if it's legitimate. They'll stand up and they'll contribute and make something as successful. They'll contribute to making that a successful event.
And you know what? There's a lot of businesses that do, but we have been, even through the rough times. I remember this.
Yeah.
I mean, when things were tough, they still gave.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that showed the community, and that's when we really got engaged. You know, that's when I really got involved, when times were really the toughest.
Sure.
And since then, I think that we have made a positive impact on the community, and they continue to give. They've been very generous. And you know, if I were to put, you know, all these books talk about, you know, what's the why? You know, what's the why?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I guess, you know, if I were to couple the why, you know, for Chase Chevrolet, it would be something like this. Chase Chevrolet, building a better community, one Chevy at a time. Because there's a partnership there.
Right.
I mean, the better that we do as a company, you know, I mean, you know, just like with your company, the better that I can do, the more I can impact the community.
Sure.
And so, you know, it goes hand in hand. And it does give a little bit deeper. I mean, you know, we have our buy into it, right? But I think it's deeper than that. I think it's, if we were, you know, I think it's a little deeper than that. It's about, let's go all in on community and let's do what we can to improve our situation. So, you know, it kind of goes hand in hand, you know.
Well, and it's twofold, because you know what you guys are doing by investing in the community, and other companies do as well, as
Right,
you know,
yes.
whether it be in the auto industry
Oh, yes.
and throughout. And we're really thankful for, you know, the banks and
Right.
and those that have stakes in the game. What you're really also doing is you're building relationships. You're there, you're present, you're engaged. You're part of the, not only part of the community, you're part of the solutions and part of the action to make something better.
It's the reality show.
Yeah.
No, really.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the real thing that's going on in community.
Yeah. No, and building relationships. You
And
know, our
building
business.
relationships,
You know,
yeah.
my dad started off a business, didn't know anybody in town, knocked on doors, and within years became a premier company.
There you go.
And in the sign and crane business. Well, I took over the crane business, and I followed his model, kept knocking on doors and building up and building those relationships. But I'm proud to say that 45 years later,
Yeah.
I'm lifting for the same companies that my dad first introduced himself to, because we build relationships. We're on time, we're reliable, we are honest, we're fair. I mean, I have a job, I had a customer, and I probably shouldn't say this, but other customers might ask the same. But we went out and we did a job, they ordered the wrong equipment. It was $1,000 job. When we had to go back to relift it, the guy calls me up and says, "You never sent me a bill for the second job." I said, "Don't worry about it." He goes, "No, well, I used your big crane. You need, it's $1,000. I said, "Look, there was a problem. I'm here to help you and take care of you. Yes, I could get another $1,000. Yes, you hired my crane, and yes, I get paid when I leave the driveway with that crane." I said, "But more importantly, if you had a little bit of a hard situation, let me help you out there, and I won't charge you for that second job." He's
And
like,
that-
that's why you have my. And he goes, "That's why you have my
That's why
business."
you have my business.
Yeah.
It's the added value.
Yeah.
You know, if you think, look at the way that people are buying things now, you know, come on, it's all done, you know, the research is all
Sure.
done, you know, or they're having it delivered to their homes. You know, it's the added value, and it's all about people.
Yep. That's the capital.
And that's
Yeah.
the capital. The capital is that if you can build that loyalty to know that this guy went out of his way to make this right, and he didn't have to, what kind of an impact, how many people is he going to tell about that story that are going to say, "Hey, you know what? I want to do business with that company," you know. And so that's what differentiates, you know, companies from companies, you know.
Sure.
And fortunately, the one thing we have, Tom, and this is the honest God truth, we are a family-owned dealership since 1944.
Yeah.
How many of those are around?
True.
When you think about it, most of them are, you know, they're big corporate stores, you know,
Sure.
own hundreds of dealerships and, you know, that type of thing. We have something very unique here in Stockton.
Yeah.
And we have deep roots, because you can go all over this town. You can go all over this town and start up a conversation with someone, and before you know it, they're gonna know somebody that you know. You know, it's still kind of small in that respect. There's and that's what makes Stockton unique.
It's a relationship town.
It's a relationship
It is.
town.
Relationship to your community, relationship with your neighbor, relationship through business. And that reverberates. When I go to the high schools or junior, I really even go to with Stockton Rotary, and I know you're part of Lions, is we donate our time and do things in the community as you and Kiwanis does. And I talk to kids. We have dictionary giveaway. Every third grader gets a dictionary in Stockton, and we go and we talk about, and there's a little story that we present about kind of the principles. Is it fair to all concerned? Is it the truth? And is it build good relationships? And it really, you talk about you talk about relationships. You talk about what, your classmates are your friends. These are relationships that will reverberate and will be part of your future. Your relationship with not only your classmates, but your parents, relationships with your teacher, relationships with your pets. These are all things that, it's a reflection of who you are, but it's also representative of how your future is going to be. If you're building good relationships now, people will want to have and do business with you. They'll want to know you. They'll appreciate what you're doing. Which, by the way, I'll jump over to. You were recognized last year. You got an award by the African American Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, thanks to a recommendation on.
Well, there's submissions all around, and I know there's several people. But
hey, I was really blessed last year, it was the Womack Awards. And so I was nominated for Man About Town.
Yes.
And it's kind of an interesting title, Man About Town,
But think about it. There's in your instance, I cannot think of it being more fitting because, again, every door you open up to any charity event, there's Roy helping out, donating and volunteering and working. So
and the cool thing about it is that you're there too, or he's there, or he's there. And so
Ted's there because of community service. He's there by court order.
But it's all good. It's all good, and we all have one of my favorite hashtags. You know what it is too. One of my favorite hashtags is everybody's got a role to play.
I thought it was Love Stockton Today.
That is my very favorite. But everybody has a role to play, and when people understand that they do have a role, and it may be the smallest of roles. It may be something that's not in the limelight. It's being part of their kids' PTA.
Right.
Whatever. There's so many needs out there that those types of relationships with making a commitment to be involved can change your life, because it certainly changed mine.
Absolutely.
And I think probably at one time you were probably thinking, hey, I would never be in politics.
Ever. Never thought of it.
And something happened.
Yeah, absolutely true. And it happened, honestly, the way it escalated for me through my volunteer work.
Yes.
Is getting more and more involved. And it's not what I'm doing, but I always think, what else can I do? What more can we do? How much more can we have an impact? And that's that really is what my driving force is in everything I do. So if I'm committed to make my community better through volunteer work, what better way to take it to the next level and to work and aspire to influence our future even more. So having an impact volunteering is the immediate and now. Being a coach for Little League, which I've enjoyed and love, and I love seeing kids 10 years later and they say, "Hey, coach, how are you?"
Yeah.
And that's the greatest word you'll ever be called as coach, because you're a mentor. You showed up, you gave them with winning attitudes, and you taught them great lessons in life. So that's one of my greatest joys is coaching and volunteering with kids because that impact. They're so impressionable, and they're sponges. They want they're going to be products of what you feed them.
And the interesting thing, Tom, what I've noticed in the community is that there are so many great volunteers out there.
True.
That haven't been asked.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
I mean, they just haven't been asked. Because when you're passionate about something, you just lost your mother to cancer, whatever, and you're passionate about, maybe I can make a difference in some way. Well, maybe they have the hookup to volunteer for an organization that is going to make a difference. And that's what changed you.
Yep.
I mean, your vision about what you might be able to do in community, that's what's changed all of us, is because we decided to volunteer. And so what I'm telling the audience out there is, hey, listen, there's, I might be talking to you. There's so many service organizations, so many great causes to partner with, something that you're passionate about. Get involved. What it will do, it will definitely change your life.
Yes.
So I just want to put that shout out there.
And to that point, it gives your life meaning. It gives your life accomplishment.
Purpose.
If we all do something, we take care of ourselves, and we eat, get dressed, and we shower, and we live in a home, we turn on TV and pay our bills. That's great. That's fine. You're sustaining yourself, and you're being responsible and taxpayer and contributing in that regard, and that's just fine.
Right.
But if you have an opportunity to spend, just for instance, I tell kids, just feel. How good does it feel when you open up the door for an older person and give them a hand if they need something carried or done? In fact, they scientifically have proven the endorphins that are released in your body are it's a chemical reaction when you're helping and volunteering and donating.
Yes.
It's an absolute physiological impact in your life, and that's the types of things that produce healthier and more rewarding lives and more satisfactory lives.
And what you're talking about is, and anybody that's been a volunteer or service, I mean, everyone goes through it, is that aha moment.
Yeah.
It's an aha moment that doesn't happen all the time.
Sure.
But when it does happen, whoa! Wow! You know what I mean? I mean, it really impacts you, and it makes you feel good about something. It makes you feel good about, I was there. I was there to see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so those are the moments that continue to move us, move our community, move us growing as an individual, and as a community, forward. So those are all good stuff.
Tell me a little bit about Lions Club. I know I've had the pleasure to be at events when you guys you show up hours before, you cook, you feed the masses when they show up and volunteer, but you guys do a lot more as well. What's your guys?
Tom, I've been a Lion for 3 years, Tom. I haven't been a Lion a long time.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, the first meeting that I went to, I felt something tug on my heart. And you know what it was? It was, Roy, you're involved with the business community, right? And you have a love for people and all that.
Sure.
It's all in there. But now you have an avenue to affect community in a positive way. And you know what? I was missing that in my life. And we all go through those stages where, man, you know what? That's where I need to be. Mm-hmm. I have had the most tremendous experience the last 3 years with the Lions. I mean, absolutely off the wall. These have been the best years of my life.
Right.
Because I've been doing something that I had never really, done before in an organized fashion. The one thing that I like about the service clubs like Rotary, and I know you're very involved with Rotary, Kiwanis, and Lions, is that you give people an opportunity not only to serve, but you give people an opportunity to lead.
True.
And this is something that I think is really important for people to understand, because there's so many great leaders out there that maybe they're feeling the fear.
Right.
But at some point, you take that no fear hat goes on,
and you have a leadership opportunity.
And what happens to you? You grow.
Yeah. True.
What
Very
happens
true.
when people stop growing?
Stagnant, unimportant.
They start dying, man.
Yeah.
How many people do we see, that retired, after 1 year, and just all of a sudden, their health just went, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because maybe they didn't have that passion for that one thing that really motivated them. This is why I'm here. This is why I got to spend every minute of my life doing this, because it gives me purpose.
Yeah.
When people, I always say this, the 3 Ps. Paycheck, passion, purpose. You got to have all 3.
I like that.
Paycheck. You can't do anything without a paycheck. It's tough to do it without a paycheck, because what you're searching for is you're searching to find that passion. Once you find the passion, then you have the purpose. And the purpose is what drives you. It's what drives me. It's what drives you. And it's what drives all these nonprofits with no money to spend.
Yep.
Out in the community, doing it solely on passion and purpose. That's why I love this community.
Right.
And that's what my message is all about. Love Stockton Today is just a platform for people to go on and say, this is what I saw good in the community, and I want to share it with everybody, and I hope it inspires you.
Right.
It almost sounds like you could add a 4th P to that. That would be power. And power doesn't refer to a title of nobility or an elected official or a political office or even an appointed office. Right. It means you feel empowered by doing something good for your community.
You have a little influence,
You're a stakeholder in the community.
Message,
absolutely.
You have a little influence.
Well, and as you mentioned, the passion. If your thing is children, being you're a child advocate, guess what? Child Abuse Prevention Council needs you to volunteer. They need you to be involved. If you want to help animals, talk about an advocate, Julie Dameron, and all that she does, and what a champion she is. And there's causes, there's ways to support organizations that help animals. Homeless. There are organizations that are helping the homeless shelters, and on and on and on. You know, the Gospel Rescue Center.
Wayne Richardson was here, I believe. Governor Don was. Wayne Richardson was here very recently to discuss.
It was last week, I think.
Yeah.
The great things at the Gospel Center.
At Gospel Center. So there's so many elements that you can be involved in and make a contribution, and it's that making a difference in the community and in other people's lives and how it reverberates. It's highly impacting and exceptionally rewarding. And thanks for obviously you sharing your passion about it, because that to me I find is the greatest thing that I'm enjoying in my life, is what else I can do and how to make something that much better. And to be involved in organizations, you know, like Rotary, we're giving vaccinations around the world to help eradicate polio.
Yes.
I you know, stepping into a hornet's nest here of controversy, but so many people are against vaccinations these days. It's not natural, it's not organic, it's not healthy and such. Well, do you know that I read an article a while back that more people died from smallpox collectively than all wars and all other diseases could ever add up to?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so with a simple vaccine, you can help get rid of smallpox. Yep. Just like with a simple vaccine, you can help get rid of polio. But now we have people that are abstaining because they think that it's this high-risk element and it's not all natural and it's synthetic or it's human-made or man-made or something. And I'm saddened by that, because we're on the cusp through Rotary of helping eradicate. We've got down, I say we so loosely, but I'm a Rotarian, and some of my funding that I contribute to the club does contribute to the efforts of eradicating polio, and it's down to 2 small pockets in the world that and only maybe a couple dozen people are getting polio a year now versus what used to be hundreds and thousands. And it was a horrible affliction that obviously was affecting globally and Americans just several decades ago. Yes. So it's working with these service organizations that they grab the football and they run for the touchdown.
What? And the Lions, the Lions is the largest service organization in the world.
Second to Rotary, I'm sure.
Well, we've got. I'm not sure how they compile those numbers. I haven't seen the poll yet.
Well, we have 15,000 clubs. How many clubs you guys have?
We've got about 4,800 clubs. Okay.
Okay.
We have.
So it's close.
We are approaching 1.5 million members.
Okay.
We are in 200 countries and regions throughout the world. No, and what that means, it's not we're in competition.
Of course,
but what that means is that is powerful.
Yep.
Because when we identify a need, whether it be disaster relief needs or a certain illness, chronic illness, one of the ones that we're devoting a lot of money to is diabetes. Diabetes is huge,
tremendous.
And I have some of that, so I know what it's what's about. But what happens is that we have our clubs, working in our community, having an effect on our community. But there's a portion of our funds that go to Lions International to affect the world.
Yes.
And right now, Lions International, as well as Rotary, I'm sure, and Kiwanis, they're all in Texas and they're all in Florida, and they all have a role to play because they're service organizations. And they do it because it's the right thing to do. So,
and also not to overlook the Masons.
Mason's another.
Yeah, that's another organization, and you look at their contribution. Yes. And so what you're looking at with the impact that you're talking about and the scope of reach. Basically, you as a Lion or as a Rotarian, we can go anywhere, any region of the world, and find a friend, and have and build a relationship through corners of the world by visiting other clubs when you might go. I mean, we've got people in Rotary come back from traveling all around the world. They'll bring little flags and they go to a Rotary meeting and they've instantly met friends, people that welcomed them to the community. Instead of being a tourist, they were now directly involved with that local community and had insight and a welcome, unlike an outside visitor passing through town.
Yes.
So that, what a great opportunity and those friendships.
They arrived as strangers but left as friends.
That's right. Exactly.
How many cheesy lines are you going to have today?
I'm sure I can come up with some more.
Good deal. Where do you think our big challenges are in our community locally?
Big challenges locally. I mean, the biggest challenge is trying to, I think, the crime, you know. I mean, crime is always on people's minds,
Yeah.
You know, we're a big city. I mean, 16th largest, right, in California.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think what people see in the headlines is, you know, that we have some challenges there. But we also, you know, those are opportunities for us. I mean, we're positive. You know, I look at everything on
There's
the positive
always
side.
a solution.
There's always there. You know, there's an
pathway to-
opportunity. There's an
there's a
opportunity.
pathway to
there.
success.
And it's not going to be easy.
Nope.
And we're going to seek. You know, we're going to turn over every rock to try to find the solution. And I think that's what we're doing. You know, and we have great people. You know, we have great people leading us right now. We need to continue to pray for those people as well locally. But I think that's a big issue that's always right in the front of everyone, you know. So I know the police department is working very, very hard.
Chief
you know.
Jones is outstanding in
Yes,
what the
yes.
police department's doing. They're being innovative and progressive, and they're setting the standards of what to do and how to do it when challenged with
Exactly.
adversities, as Stockton is.
Yeah, and so you know that's a major challenge. The other one, and I know you're passionate about this, because we've talked about this one.
Yep.
Is the solution to a lot of problems is jobs.
Yes.
You know.
Yep. You know, my big one, and I'm not sure if I even mentioned it last week, but what I'm working on, and it's one of these campaign issues, you know, the three big things you talk about is, of course, economy, public safety, and education. If you want a better economy and you want less crime, less graffiti, less problems in your public safety, it's going to be through education. And I'm working on right now through Stockton Unified. I'm working with County Board of Education through Jamie Mussolinis' office and all of our county services. We're kind of compiling what we're doing in separate pockets. We're going to try to collaborate and create a vast vocational training opportunity, and I'm even envisioning this as perhaps satellite centers throughout and staged throughout different regions of the county, so that it enables people in neighborhoods and people that might be challenged with transportation or not, but give them an opportunity to participate and learn a vocation, learn those soft skills, learn those skills that it takes to be employable. There's even a program, and you don't really have to, you don't have to invent the wheel here. There are programs. There's one up in Sacramento called St. John's, and it's for women. It takes women that have, you know, they're unemployed and they have no job skill. And by the time they go through this program, not only have they gotten off of substances and more importantly, they've learned skills. They've learned people skills. They're employable. You can you've got a support network there that enables you to and empowers you to get these skills that you now can be self-sufficient. You can change. You can break that cycle in life, and that's what jobs can do.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because a lot of people, they think, a lot of people might have a mentality of not being paid enough, and they need more money than minimum wage and such. But, you know, I've got a friend of mine who bought a company, who just recently bought a company. They just paid off the company. He started as the coffee guy. He started off as the guy that ran and did errands, and then he was, you know, clean the coffee pot every day and clean the office and empty the trash. Then he started working outside in the shop. Then he started making deliveries and going to job sites, and he learned that business from the ground up. And he probably, I'd say probably 12 to 15 years later, he purchased that company, and 5 years later he paid for it. He now owns that company, and he started off as the cleanup boy.
Exactly right.
So, you know, any job is an entry level. I have a friend of mine in New York. He started off as the delivery boy for Domino's Pizza over in Jersey, and they did the craziest thing ever. They went to New York City to create a pizza franchise. Now, New York City is known as some of the best pizza you're going to find in America, and arguably could be said there's a strong argument for that. Domino's goes in, they're like, we're going to take a risk. So they take a risk with this guy who starts off as a delivery guy, who worked up to being a manager, and they gave him the franchise opportunity in Manhattan. Last time I saw him, he had 4 of them, and he's a multimillionaire now. Because he started off as a delivery guy, built relationships, worked harder, and made dedication. He wasn't off partying, wasn't off getting high on marijuana, wasn't off wasting his life on drugs and self-indulgence. He made a commitment to work hard, and now he has the opportunity to live a good life and have an impact in many people's other lives by giving them jobs.
Well, one of the things that I was really excited about, and I know that it was a little controversial to some people, but I'll tell you what, you give me the Amazon jobs, and I'll change a couple of neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because here you're talking about a major player in our community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? saying, okay, we're gonna come to you. We're gonna employ you. You know, this is huge. I don't care what they start off at, Tom. They need a job.
Yes.
You give them a job, then it's up to them to climb the ladder, like the stories that
prove
you
yourself.
just told.
That's right.
To prove yourself, because you know what employers are looking for? They're not even looking so much for a skilled worker. And I was told this by Delta College. What they're looking for is somebody with a work ethic.
That's
you
right.
give me somebody
Somebody's
with
trainable.
a work ethic, I'll train that guy, and he will be an outstanding employee.
Yep.
So you know when you get the training and you have the work ethic, then you're a very special person.
Absolutely correct.
You know, so.
And you think about it. I've been in jobs. I've seen people. I've been a boss, and I've been the cleanup guy.
Right.
And when you do that extra effort and that boss recognizes and appreciates what you did. I even had a job one time where a delivery truck came. It was raining outside. Everybody clocked out. And I say, hey, boss, I got it. And I unloaded the truck. I got a little bit wet. Right. It was after I said, no, you already clocked out. Don't worry. I said, I'm not worried about clocking out. I'm here to help you.
Right.
And so everybody else left, but I did the unloading and stacking and helping him out. And he remembered that. And next thing you know, I had an opportunity to do more. And then but the guy appreciated somebody that did that extra effort, that extra level of help.
Exactly.
And it's it does make a big difference. I always use the story I talk about when I talk to kids. I always use the story about my dad, and I repeat it all the time. But he was working in a gas station. He was living on his own when he was 13 years old. And he was working at a gas station making $5 a day. That was his salary. And guy drives by in this convertible Cadillac with this good-looking gal sitting next to him. And my dad sits there and looks at it. He doesn't look at the guy with spite. Doesn't look at him with any type of animosity. He looks at him and says, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to save my money. And one day that's going to be me.
There you go.
And that's a defining moment in a person's life. How do you look at that? How do you look at success? Attainable? Or do you look at it as something that you have spite and envy over?
Yes.
And in my perspective is if you look at anything as possible and you work hard, you can make it happen.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It looks like we're about out of time for this edition of the Tom Patti Reality Show. Tom, what did you think of last night's, the NFL kicked off yesterday? I know we just talked a little bit about the NFL last week. What are your thoughts on last night's game? Personally, my thoughts, I always thought Alex Smith was a very good quarterback, but Tom, a lot of people don't know this, but Tom is good friends with Jim Harbaugh. He used to coach the 49ers. Okay. And one day, Tom told Coach Harbaugh, said, I like this kid, Colin Kaepernick. I think you should start him instead of Alex Smith.
There's a good reality story.
When did that conversation happen? I always liked Alex Smith, actually. I'm a Joe Montana fan, and I saw Alex Smith as a prototype of a Joe Montana-style football. And that West Coast offense, he fit into it with under Harbaugh as well. And I thought it was a mistake when they got rid of him because I thought he was a solid, and I thought he was underrated as a quarterback. So
I agree with that, and I think last night proved it. What's funny is there are people listening to the show who, for a short while, actually did think that Tom Patti knew Jim Harbaugh.
Well, we all know a lot of people, but that's the gentleman I've not had a chance to meet. Listen, any given Sunday, anything can happen. So last night, or Thursday night, anything can happen. But more importantly, really the standard you got to look at is if you're playing the Patriots, they are the standard of football. If you can play competitive against them, against that coach, that offense and that defense, they'll figure things out. I'm sure they'll have a winning season. But you really have to admire that team and that franchise and what they've become in the last 2 decades to have that and to carry that as long as they have. That's not by accident. So any football team, the standard of measure, in my opinion, is how you do fare against Patriots. And last night, Kansas City showed that they are a strong football team. They've got a great coach in Andy Reid. They've got a strong offense and defense. So I was impressed.
No, I agree with you, and I do think Bill Belichick is, if he's the best he's the best coach working today in the NFL, and probably one of the best.
It's too bad he has a flu every single day of the week. He's always got that unhappy, miserable look to his face. Yeah. But look like you'd like to see the guy smile and enjoy something once in a while.
Well, since you guys are talking about football, I'll put a plug in tonight. AA Stagg Alumni Association Barbecue. All you Stagg alumni, come on out to the Stagg High football field tonight. We're gonna have a great barbecue. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Typically we get about 150 people that come out, and they just have a wonderful night. They watch a little football and reminisce, and it's all good. On September 15th, Stockton Host Lions Club is holding their Fall Classic Golf Tournament. If anybody would like to get involved with that, just go to Stockton Host Lions Facebook page, and we'd love to have you participate as well.
Sponsorships for that golf event as well would be great.
And we also, the benefits are going to Pixie Woods, and we're working on an apparatus at Pixie Woods with a couple other organizations that is going to be pretty impressive.
Excellent.
Spaceship.
I was going to say, Julie Damer Brown's talking about building a rocket ship.
Julie's talking about a rocket ship. That's what's going to be. So we're working on that.
How'd you guys commandeer her from Rotary? She goes to Rotary and Lions. You guys got her right in there.
It's all about timing.
Yeah, she what she does with her time and how she makes things happen. I admire that gal, and I'm going to have her as one of my guests on the show. Even though she has a show, I want to pick her brain and just see her passion, her dedication, all that she gives makes our community that much better. Just like you, Roy Morales.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all that you do. I sure appreciate it.
All right, you have been tuned in to the Tom Patti reality show right here on KXVS, the voice of Stockton, all the way live on Facebook and YouTube, soon to be broadcasting on 92.1 FM. Please stick around for more quality programming. Check out our playlists on Facebook, and tune in next week for more Tom Patti reality show on the voice of Stockton.